Have you ever noticed how the exact same words can destroy one person and roll right off another? How the same rejection can crush someone's spirit or fuel their determination? How the same criticism can trigger either growth or resentment? What if I told you that nothing, absolutely nothing, can harm you without your permission? That the power to be hurt or to be hurt lies entirely within you. Today, we're going to explore one of the more liberating ideas of Stoic philosophy. Now, before I continue that, I love the part where I just discussed how certain words can destroy another person's spirit or fuel their determination. This comes as a person who has participated in bullying. I'm not proud of it. And as a person who have also been bullied. I have been called Titty Boy by one of my close friends. Close friends called me Titty Boy for a long time. And what did it do? It generally would fuel me to get back into shape. I was in the best time of my life because I did not like being called a titty boy. Now, hear me out. I don't like to advocate that when someone insults you, you now have to go to the gym and like change the way you live life. I am just happening to say how it didn't crush my spirit. It actually boosted my determination to be healthy. Recently, I was looking fat. I was weighing at 236 pounds around this time. He said, "You looking fat?" Because we were friends since sixth grade. So the bullying has been there, and we're still friends. The long story short is he called me fat. I was like, God dang. What did I do? I went right to work. I mean, not like right away, but it was fuel. It was like, yo, I am fat. What happened to me, son? So I got back in the gym and I started taking care of myself. So I thought that statement was very powerful. Anyways, Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do away with the opinion I am harmed, and that harm is cast away too. Do away with being harmed, and harm disappears." I'm going to say it again. Do away with the opinion I am harmed, and the harm is cast away too. Do away with being harmed, and harm disappears. I know sometimes the way Marcus Aurelius was talking back then is like, what? But we're going to talk about it. At first glance, this might sound like something denial or something called toxic positivity. I got someone who should listen to this. But if you look deeper, you'll find something profound. Marcus isn't saying bad things don't happen. He's saying that the harm, the emotional wound, the suffering comes not from the event itself, but from our judgment about the event. The event of itself is entirely objective. The harm, that's the subjective part. Think about the word like failure. To one person, it means I am worthless. To another person, it means this particular attempt didn't work. Same word, different emotional impact. And you can have arguments over these words too. I want to talk about that at the end. Consider the word criticism. One hears it as you're doing this wrong and thinks I'm being attacked. Another hears the same exact words and thinks here's some information to improve. I go through that personally as a content creator. When I hear criticism, I instantly feel like I'm being attacked. And I had to let go of that feeling more and more as time goes on. So I think this is very, very powerful stuff. The Stoics understood that modern psychology has confirmed our interpretations create our reality. This isn't just philosophy, it's practical power. When you truly understand that harm requires your consent, you stop giving difficult people the power to ruin your day. You stop turning neutral events into personal catastrophes. You gain the ability to hear feedback without defensiveness. And perhaps most valuable, you develop resilience. Because you understand that while you can't control what happens, you can absolutely control what it means. Here's how to practice this Stoic principle today. First, notice when you feel harmed. Pause and ask, what interpretation am I bringing into this situation? And is there another way to see this? Second, experiment with alternative perspectives. If someone cuts you off in traffic, I know this is going to be a tough one. Try to think maybe they're rushing off to an emergency. Camera cut off. Second, folks, back to what we're saying, experiment with alternative perspectives. If someone cuts you off in traffic, maybe try thinking they're rushing to an emergency instead of they're deliberately disrespecting me. And I know, folks, I know that I have to take my own advice. But we're not talking about me. We're talking about you guys. Don't do as I do as I say, okay? Practice the phrase, this is happening and I'm choosing what it means. Say it whenever something potentially upsetting occurs. Definitely applying this, folks. And I ask that you guys do the same. I was joking when I said do as I do, not as I say. I'm reading this and sharing this with you guys because I want to also change the way I live my life. And anyways, we're here together. Ask yourself, what reoccurring situations do I consistently interpret in ways that cause me suffering? What would change if I view these situations as neutral events rather than personal attacks? Who in my life seems unaffected by things that would upset me? What could I learn from their perspective? Wow. The world will never stop presenting you with difficult people, challenging situations, and unexpected obstacles. But today, Marcus Aurelius offers you a superpower. I know we're stretching it, but you have to think that way. It's the ability to stretch these things, or it's the ability to strip these things down of their power to harm you. Not through denial or avoidance, okay? Not through toxic positivity or forced optimism, but through the profound understanding that harm requires your participation. Do away with your opinion, you are harmed, and watch as harm itself dissolves. The idea wasn't unique to Marcus Aurelius. Epictetus, who was born a slave, suffered physical disability, and he famously said, "Make the best use of what is your power and take the rest as it happens." The Stoics developed these mental techniques during times of tremendous hardship. We're talking plague, war, exile, and political persecution. Folks, depending on where you live in the world, they was really going through some things. They weren't speaking from ivory towers of privilege. They were creating practical tools for real suffering. And cultures, and across cultures, we find similar wisdom. The Buddha taught that suffering comes not from pain itself, but from our resistance to pain. Shakespeare wrote, "There is nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so." Not saying that thinking is bad, but if you think something's bad, yeah, it's bad. I mean, we are the deciders of these labels. Today, cognitive behavioral therapy, the most empirically validated form of therapy, psychotherapy that is built on this exact principle. CBT teachers teach that our thoughts about events, not the events themselves, determine our emotional responses. The technique of cognitive reframing, changing how we interpret situations, has been shown to reduce depression, anxiety, and PTSD. What Stoics thought through philosophy, modern science has confirmed through research. Okay? Stoics was just saying this as a philosophy, but there is science that actually backs this up. There's a profound freedom in realizing that while you can't control what happens to you, you can control what happens. This doesn't mean you'll never feel pain. Pain is something inevitable. But suffering, the story about how we tell about our pain, that is optional. As you move through your day, remember, words only have the power you give them. Criticism only hurts if you accept the premise. Rejection only stings if you agree with the assessment. The next time you feel harmed, ask yourself, am I willing to withdraw my consent to being harmed by this? Because, as Marcus Aurelius knew, when you do away with the opinion you are harmed, the harm itself has nowhere to exist. Very profound lesson today, folks. I thank you for taking the time to listen. I found something else relatable that I wanted to share. I couldn't understand why one of my friends was rejecting the way I was teaching them positivity or trying to teach them positivity. I never knew of the idea that there's toxic positivity where it's just, that's hollow. And I guess looking into myself, that at times I would have a hollow positivity because while I was positive and smiling, I was still having a drinking problem. So it's like, you can't be that happy if you're drinking all the time, you know? And now the kind of happiness I feel, I don't need to drink to feel better or that kind of stuff. I still believe that my toxic positivity was still better than like other ways of living, but it wasn't the best way. I haven't reached true enlightenment. For anyone who watches Dragon Ball Z, there is something called the Ultra Saiyan form, right? Which all it is you power up and you look massive. You are brolic. And you are stronger than you were before. Yes, but you're also slower. So while you have all this strength, these big muscles, you're taking hits from your opponent. You're strong, but you can't land a hit. So you're an ineffective fighter. You're stronger than before, but you're still ineffective. You're taking hits. You're losing. Your body is still being harmed in this battle, even though you're stronger than you were before. Then we have what we call the Super Saiyan 2 transformation, which has the speed and also has the strength. Now you're no longer being harmed. Now you have truly ascended past the stage that you were without the disability, without the handicap. Anyways, those are to my DBZ fans. If you guys know, you know. Thanks for listening. Folks, if you guys are interested in improving your lives, check out the book, The Daily Stoic. I have it in the description of this video. I am a student of it myself. So, you know, I learn and I share it with you guys. And even as I'm sharing it, and I say things out loud, I'm like, yo, that really hits. I should have added that. But it kind of throws off the structure. So I'd rather the way I do things. Anyways, thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm out.